Alien, Earth Episode 5 Explained, The Maginot's Final Hour Showdown. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving deep into Episode 5 of Alien, Earth, titled In Space, No One. This was one of the most suspenseful and lore-heavy episodes yet, and it takes us back to the doomed USCSS Maginot, giving us the missing puzzle pieces of what really happened before its crash landing in the season premiere. This chapter stands out because it's essentially a bottle episode, contained almost entirely aboard the ship, and it leans heavily into classic Alien franchise DNA. Think Ridley Scott's claustrophobic horror in the first Alien and James Cameron's high-stakes tension from Aliens, but filtered through Noah Hawley's slow-burn mystery style. We're going to break it all down: the Maginot sabotage, the horrifying blood tick attack, the identity of the traitor, the jaw-dropping monster fight, and that shocking final vow from Morrow. So, let's get started.
On with the alarm. Captain Denzel got there first, put it out. Bronsky was right behind him.
Back to the Maginot. Episode 5 rewinds the clock, showing us the Maginot's final hours. Things kick off when Weyland-Yutani cyborg security officer Morrow unexpectedly wakes from cryo-sleep. Right away, he discovers two disasters at once. A fire has crippled the ship's engines, and even worse, two facehuggers escaped during the chaos. One already killed the captain, while the other is attached to Science Officer Bronsky. With the captain gone, Javeri is forced into command, a decision Morrow clearly resents. We also learn just how doomed the Maginot really is. Senior engineer Shmuel lays it out perfectly. We were a spaceship, and now we're a missile, heading straight toward Earth. That one line alone sums up the stakes. Not only are they trapped with xenomorphs on board, but their very trajectory threatens Earth itself.
Who are you?
Who's the saboteur? From here, the episode shifts into mystery mode. Morrow reviews the surveillance footage and realizes the fire wasn't an accident. Someone deliberately unleashed the xenomorph eggs. The problem? The footage is blurry, files have been purged, and the only thing he can make out is that Bronsky and Javeri were secretly hooking up in the containment room right before the incident. Not the best look for the acting captain. This tension sets up a major ideological clash between Morrow and Javeri. For Morrow, loyalty to Weyland-Yutani comes first. He doesn't care about lives, only cargo. Javeri, on the other hand, wants to destroy the xenomorphs before they can reach Earth, but as expected, Mother denies her request. It's a classic Alien franchise dynamic, corporate greed versus human survival. And we know who usually wins. The blood tick escape. Meanwhile, we get one of the creepiest sequences of the series so far. Scientist Chibuzzo is feeding the blood ticks, parasitic insect-like creatures, in a sealed jar. Distracted by her own lunch, she fails to tighten the lid properly. In a moment of almost Jurassic Park-style dread, one tick demonstrates intelligence, pushing the unsecured pin and escaping. Even more disturbing, it climbs onto her water bottle and releases a cloud of larvae inside. The tension is brilliantly drawn out. Will Chibuzzo drink the contaminated water? At the mess hall, she almost does, but at the last second it's Malachite, the junior engineer, who takes the fateful sip. This moment pays off spectacularly later in the episode, but it's a great example of how Hawley milks suspense from small, everyday actions, eating, drinking, sharing space, until they become terrifying. Morrow's interrogation and the dripping vent. In a separate scene, Morrow interrogates Rahim, and the set design and direction crank the paranoia to 11. As Rahim speaks, water, or maybe saliva, drips from the vent above. Is there a xenomorph hiding in the ducts? We never actually see it, but the implication keeps the audience on edge. This is textbook alien horror. What you don't see is just as scary as what you do. Human cost in the engine room. The episode then takes a breather with one of its most humanizing moments. In the engine room, Shmuel tells Malachite that spending 65 years in space, only to get a quarter of a share in profits, is a raw deal. This quiet dialogue hits at the heart of the franchise's themes. Workers sacrificing their lives for scraps while corporations reap the rewards. It's a touching, grounded moment until the horror returns. Malachite's death. The blood ticks finally hatch inside Malachite. He collapses, vomiting blood, and is rushed to med bay. Here, Rahim and Chibuzzo attempt a desperate surgery. The scene showcases some incredible practical effects as they cut into Malachite's body and physically pull out the blood ticks. But the bugs release a toxic gas inside the sealed room. All three, Malachite, Chibuzzo, and Rahim, die horribly. It's a brutal sequence, but also a reminder of how alien life forms in this series always adapt in unexpected ways, turning humanity's technology and desperation against them. The saboteur revealed. With crew numbers dwindling, Morrow finally uncovers the truth. Surveillance files are stored, and he sees Petrovich in contact with none other than Boy Cavalier, the young prodigy genius we met earlier in the season. Petrovich struck a deal: sabotage the Maginot, crash it into Prodigy City, and deliver Weyland-Yutani's assets straight to their rivals. In exchange, Petrovich would get rich and become a hybrid. This revelation ties the Maginot's tragedy directly into the broader war between Weyland-Yutani and Prodigy, escalating the corporate Cold War that's been simmering in the background. Morrow, enraged, kills Petrovich with his arm blade, but the damage is already done. Monster Fight: Xenomorph vs. Species 64. The climax delivers something fans have been waiting for: a creature-on-creature battle. Javeri is ambushed by the fully grown xenomorph, but flees into the specimen lab, only to discover Shmuel's body has been overtaken by Species 64, the Ocellus eyeball monster. The two creatures clash in a brief but chaotic fight. The xenomorph and eyeball monster shriek and thrash at each other, while Morrow and Javeri barely manage to escape. It's a fun nod to Alien vs. Predator, but it also raises fascinating questions. Did the two species communicate? Could they have formed an alliance? For a moment, it seems possible, until instinct kicks in and they attack one another.
It's coming!
The escape pod and Javeri's death. We circle back to the scene from the premiere, Morrow reaching the escape pod. Javeri begs him to open the impact room, but before he can act, she's killed by the xenomorph. In a nail-biting sequence, Morrow seals himself inside the pod just as the alien lunges, with its saliva dripping down inches from his face. He barely makes it out alive. This marks the definitive end of the Maginot's crew. Every character we spent the episode with is dead, except for Morrow. Back on Earth, Yutani's samurai guards. The episode closes with Morrow meeting Yutani herself back on Earth. We also catch our first glimpse of her samurai-styled guards, a stylish new addition to the franchise's visual world-building. Here, we learn why Morrow's loyalty to the Yutani family runs so deep. Her grandmother once saved him and gave him his arm blade. For him, this is personal. Morrow vows two things: to help Weyland recover their lost assets, and, more chillingly, I'll kill the one called Cavalier. This sets the stage for the coming confrontation between Weyland-Yutani, Prodigy, and the alien species caught in between. So this was the final scene in this episode, which leaves us wondering about the future plan of Morrow. What do you think about it? Final thoughts. Episode 5 is easily one of the strongest entries of Alien Earth so far. By returning to the Maginot, it ties the premiere's mystery threads together while delivering horror, paranoia, body horror, corporate intrigue, and monster spectacle all in one packet. It's also deeply faithful to the DNA of the franchise: the horror of confined spaces, the cruelty of corporations, the body horror of alien biology, and the sheer terror of survival when the odds are stacked against you. The deaths of Malachite, Chibuzzo, Rahim, Javeri, Shmuel, and Petrovich leave us with a chilling reminder. In this universe, human life is expendable, and only the corporations and their secrets endure. But the most important thing is what comes next: Morrow's personal war against Boy Cavalier, which promises to push the Weyland vs. Prodigy rivalry into explosive territory. And that's everything you need to know about Alien Earth Episode 5. This season is only getting darker, and if this episode proved anything, it's that no one is safe when corporations and monsters collide. Stick around, because the next episode promises to change the game even further. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.